So let's kind of start at the beginning though. So you're from College Station, then you went to George Washington.
Yes.
You still live in DC.
Yeah, I still live in DC.
How did the ascend to media happen?
So domestic politics really wasn't hot, and I wasn't really into it. I just, I like to think about like whatever the raging debates are. So I actually started out as a foreign policy guy. Mm-hmm. So I wrote a lot about Afghanistan. The only reason I got into politics, I was very against the Iraq War. I grew up in a town in College Station where the George H.W. Bush Library literally is. So I'm like in the epicenter of pro-Iraq war. And I was, I've always been a shit stirrer. I was like, fuck this. Yeah. I knew some people whose either brothers or, people were sent to Iraq, people were killed in Iraq. And I was like, this is wrong. I was just very against the war, which was really not popular at the time. Anyway, so that's how I got into politics, foreign policy, all of that. And it was kind of that way up until Trump. So the way I got into media is actually Tucker Carlson, who, now is the Tucker that we know. But at that time, he really wasn't on TV very much. He was running this outlet called The Daily Caller. And I interviewed with him and some other people. And they were like, we just need a foreign affairs guy. And I was like, listen, man, I'm getting a job in media, in journalism. It's probably like this. Like, how many people want to be a sports podcaster? A gajillion. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the same level of competition. I jumped at the chance and I started out covering the Pentagon. So that was it. And then Trump got elected and it was like my whole life changed. If you want to be in media today, you can't just be like the writer guy. Like most people who start in media at a traditional media corporation, they've never written their own headlines. I'm sure you guys are probably the same. It's like, on the internet, you have to be writer, producer, creator, marketer. You need to run your own Twitter. Like, nobody's going to do any of this shit for you. You got to learn all this shit for yourself. Mm-hmm. So I was in the grinder for 4 or 5 years straight, just doing it kind of all myself, like working my way up the ranks. My big break is when I got promoted to White House correspondent, and I was only like 25 years old. So I'm like literally sitting in the White House press briefing room, like asking Sarah Sanders a question. It's like fucking Jim Acosta here, and like, like
that must have been pretty wild.
Oh, it was wild, man. It was the best thing that ever happened to me because I'm like 25, but the thing is with Trump is like anything was possible. Like he was so unpredictable. Yeah. And all the traditional centers of power didn't operate like normal. Like today, 25-year-old is not getting an interview with the president. I got 4 interviews with the president. Like today, 25-year-old new arrival in the White House press briefing room, they're not getting called on. Mm-hmm. I just gamed the system. Like I figured out how to ingratiate myself with the right people so that they would learn my name, so that she would call on me in the press briefing room. Yeah. And within like 3 weeks, I'm getting called on. Within a month, Trump was calling on me at these press conferences. And so like, man, it was truly like, as a career maker, it was awesome.
No shit, dude. Those get heated sometimes.
Oh, huh? Man. Yeah, that's why it was hot. It was fun. It was like, I always told people this. They're like, you're a foreign affairs guy. Like, why would you do this? And I said, you don't understand. If you go, anytime you go on vacation, you travel around the world during the Trump years, people will be like, oh my God, what is going on with Donald Trump? It was the biggest story in the world, in the whole world. Everybody was interested. So like for me, I was like, I have to be at the center of the action. I have to cover this. It was such a surreal experience, and it was just a game, man. And that's really kind of how I learned what I wanted to do with Breaking Points, because I was looking around in the press briefing room and I'm like, none of you were asking anything relevant to how anybody in this entire country thinks about politics, wants to actually know. It really like gave me a lot of disdain for the way that traditional media covers politics. Like that's when I first saw the hole. I was like, there's a massive opening here. Yeah. That was the inception.
And so now you and Crystal started Breaking Points.
Yes.
Has it gone better than you ever could imagine?
I could never imagine it. Yeah. I mean, I thought we were fucked. Not fucked, but I was like, I hope it works out. Yeah, it was like, took out a shitload of credit card debt. Crystal and I were like, hope it works. My only thing was, I was like, just cover costs. I was like, just please. Within 2 weeks, we're like, oh my God, we're going to be fine. It has gone bigger than I can ever imagine. And honestly, like it's 100% the audience, but also I gotta, Rogan, we called him before we went. We were like, dude, we're terrified. We're like, I don't know what we're gonna do, all this. And he was like, listen, I got your back 100%. And he was so kind, man. Like we reached out to him. We're like, dude, we're really scared. Like we don't know what to do. And, to have the backing of the number one guy in the world, to just be like, I got your back. Like no matter what, I will help you. And it wasn't just him. It was so many people like Andrew Schultz, like Tim Dillon, all these folks. I'd never even met Tim Dillon. The guy helped me like pump the show, Yeah. The whole like audience of just people out there who were kind of doing a similar thing and like believe in a new vision. It's because of them that we were able to get the word out. And then from there, like, that's why I try and pay it forward too.
Yeah.
To anybody who's doing something similar.
Yeah.
Like, it's essential.
Yeah, that's nice. What's the Rogan Bump really like?
Oh, well, I can tell you, the bump
Yeah.
pre-Spotify, holy shit.
Yeah.
If I recall 100,000 YouTube subs in 3 days after we went, 100,000 YouTube subs in 3 days, if I recall, post Rogan, on top of, I want to say the videos that he put out of us also got like millions of views. We didn't have a podcast at that time, so I can't tell you.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I do know. Well, here's the other thing. I can't tell you what the Rogan Bump is because we went on our first week.
Yeah.
All I know is like it didn't hurt.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like, well, so before we launched, we were number 3 in the world, like on Spotify. Anybody who is listening, new podcasts get a boost in the algorithm. So we were like number 3 in the US, but like we were number 1 political pod for like months because of Rogan.
Because of that, yeah.
So it's real, man. That's all I could say.